As globalization slugger continues unabated, it has also raised questions of imbalanced development across various economies of the world. The reason for this is that economies are not the same in terms of level of development and GDP. Now back home here in Nigeria, the issue of local content development is beginning to assume what I will call a front burner. The issue there are, one, is Nigeria ready for local content? What are the policy challenges? Here in the studio are members of the Business and Technology News Publishers Foundation, a media-based foundation meant to promote ICT-based development. I have the publisher of Political Economist is Kenneth Ugbechie. You're welcome to the show.
My pleasure, thank you very much.
And I also have the editor-in-chief of Africa Telecoms and IT. He's a person of Bayo, Abiodun. You're welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Are we, as a nation, ready to push for local content in IT when the world is calling for globalization of skills, knowledge, and, if you like, pull down your fences so that everyone can jump in?
There is actually an imbalance, whether it's in trade, in shared values, and if you look at indices, the statistics that were read out, it's called that Nigeria has been shortchanged. Shortchanged in the sense that we have remained a consuming outpost for far too long. And it's a good thing that in this dispensation, in our time, especially in the ICT sector, we have a minister that is very progressive. The Comtech minister has been on the vanguard of promoting local content in ICT. And why is she doing that? Which is also what our foundation stands for. That there's need to build local capacity so that there could be justification, equity in the way we relate to other countries. So that we can have these right skill sets over time to also manage certain positions. So that our crude oil can no longer be sold as crude oil. We have the capacity to refine them and sell the finished product rather than just sell the raw material and become a consumer.
Well, how do you differentiate local capacity policy from the indigenization policy?
Well, the local capacity policy is also an offshoot of indigenization. All over the world, that is the politics. Political economies of countries are built first and foremost on what is innate for us as a people. Recall that when the American corporations, big corporations, mega corporations were going down on them, it took the American government, a capitalist nation, to use public funds to salvage the private sector. And they had to do it in mega billions of dollars. Recall also that at a point in time, India almost closed its doors and said, no, we have to buy India. We have to build some of these things, and today India has become the outsourcing capital of the world.
Okay, now to Bayo. Local content development, if you like, local capacity, is it desirable?
It is absolutely desirable.
To what extent is this desirable?
If you realize that the world is no longer built on silos, there has to be total networking and integration. The world is a global village, and we are building it on digital economy. And to effectively participate in the digital economy, if you do not want to have a regret in the years to come, then you have to start building fundamentals that will structure the economy of a nation to align with the various indices that would help in bringing your country to align with the global economy.
But do you find it nice promoting local capacity or local content when you know that your education is in shambles?
You see,
because you actually require the skills
the two are,
to be able to, push the local capacity that you're talking about.
Yeah, you have to start from somewhere. Yes, we have deficiencies in our competencies, in the capabilities of our people, fundamentally because our educational system is flawed. That is one strong area that the government also has to look into. I give you an example. A lot of 90% of our children today are in public schools. And public schools, which all you and I know, are lacking in teaching instructional materials. They are lacking in the capacity of the trainers, the teachers. We're talking about technology age. And tell me, how many of these public schools have the ICT facilities that drive these processes that we're talking about?
Okay, so let us really underscore the importance of education or technical education to help drive this local capacity that we're trying to discuss here. To what level would you say Nigeria is ready?
Well, we cannot say exactly that we are very ready, but you build on the foundation that you can lay your hand on. And I think minimally, there is a minimum foundation. If you look at what the Nigerian Communications is doing, Commission, the NCC, through the USPF, they've been able to put computer digital laboratories in some schools. We have not covered all the schools yet, but even with the ones they have done, I think it's a good starting point. But the point I want to make is this. There is something deficient in our curriculum. I always use India as an example because the Indian mind and the Nigerian mind are almost the same. But the difference is the content of that education. Any discipline you read, you graduate from in an Indian university, you must be computer literate. So the numeracy is built into their curriculum, so that even if you are a student of English language or French or the arts, any of the arts, there must be a numerate content in you coming out from the university. We don't have such in Nigeria. In fact, those people that are even in core engineering subjects, core ICT subjects, you see that the schools are deficient. People queue. I've visited several universities in this country. People queue to take turns to have hands-on experience in what we call digital laboratories. That shouldn't be so. Every student should have access to ICT facilities, including a laptop, including Wi-Fi, so that you can log on to the net. We only find such in a few private universities, but in our public schools. And of course, you know that the larger quantum of students graduate out of our public schools, whether secondary or university or tertiary, which means there is something that government has not done well, and government needs to start doing it well. Funding of our public schools is very key.
But another thing I think we should highlight here is the role of the research institutions.
Okay.
Because so for you to come up with a technology that I can say was built locally, the research funding must must come from local research institutions.
Yep.
These are research institutions that are not well funded.
Definitely.
If they exist at all. We have seen situations where, okay, let's take example from the recent announcement from the Ministry of Agriculture, okay, that they needed to give phones to farmers and all that. Somebody came up with an idea, said, if you give that same money to the 3 universities, research department, to say, I want a technology that, that can help farmers do their farming best. Develop it locally. It will create jobs. It will elevate their capacity and even their knowledge, and that is the know-how. So, where is the role of the research institutions here?
Well, they seem to have disappeared from the radar. For one thing, it is because
is this healthy?
Not at all. Government has relegated them. Anywhere and everywhere in the world where sane people live is the R&D, the research and development institution that drive the technology. And where a government and a people, collectively and individually, relegate research and development to the background and put more money in defense and you put more money in doing serving tea in government houses, and put more money here and there, that things that do not actually reflect the economy, there's a problem. I think it's just misplacement of priority on the part of leadership over the years. Especially, it was even worse during the military era, that has led to this relegation of R&D departments. We have a lot of them, but if you go there, it's not a place you desire to work in. That's not an environment that anybody will wake up eager, enthusiastic to say, I'm going to work. So there's a problem. There's a challenge. We don't fund them. They're not properly equipped. And even when we do research and development, we do R&D, and we come up with a result, we don't take it to the next level.
Okay, so for the purpose of our viewers, let us tone it down a little bit. Local capacity, what are you talking about? What are the benefits? Why are you preaching it?
Local capacity, what it triggers off immediately, it triggers off more jobs, it triggers off wealth creation, it triggers off wealth and skill enablement. We used to hear of Taiwan, China made. Today, China is the second biggest economy in the world because they never look back. They never tarried for a moment. But back home in Nigeria, we hear of Aba made and we run it down. But the same attitude was not extended to the China made or Taiwan made. Even when it was called Taiwan, we still kept buying and we kept helping that nation to evolve. But in Nigeria, we look at our own made goods and we rubbish it.
That is perception. To what extent has perception really dealt a serious blow in innovating in terms of capacity building?
I think it has done a damaging blow to even our psyche as a people. But I also want to amplify something. You know, when we talk about local capacity, the problem we have always had in Nigeria is for us to denigrate that which is made in Nigeria. Denigrate even persons that have excelled in Nigeria. Even our own human capital, we don't even trust them when they say they have come out with this or they have done this. But at the end of the day, when you talk of local capacity, you are talking about even in the area of contracting. You are talking about helping to build your local human capital. Because sovereignty these days is no longer defined by the year you had your independence, so-called independence. Sovereignty, if you are a sovereign nation, you must be sovereign technologically, you must be sovereign in food security, and all around. And technology is part of this enablement that helps you even guarantee food security in your local. So the issue of local content transcends beyond job creation. It also tells the whole world that you have also arrived. And it will give some respect to you in the Committee of Nations. If, for instance, we are hosting the war here, it's quite that most of the technology we use are either from Germany, from Japan, but we have the human capital. We have the brain. Some of these people are also working in Microsoft. Nigerians are doing well in Microsoft, doing well with IBM. There's nothing stopping us from saying, please, everybody come home. Even if everybody cannot come home, but when you create the enabling environment, because at the end of the day, the market is huge. We're talking of an active market of Nigerians, very active, flamboyant lifestyle. This is the only country where people buy anything and everything, including the things you don't need. So there's a market for you. That's why the Chinese are coming. That's why the Indians are coming. In spite of this perception that Nigeria is a fraudulent country, which I don't believe, in spite of that perception that nothing good can come out of this country, which I don't believe, you still see the foreigners, they defy the weather, defy the distance. They are coming to one country in Africa called Nigeria. There is something good about this country. And until we begin to look inward to see that goodness in us, we will get it.
Let us now come down to the policy framework. What is responsible that up till now we do not have a technology, a Nigerian-made technology that we can showcase, the global arena, we can say this is a car made in Nigeria, no matter how bad it is.
You see, I want to also disagree with you that we don't have technology that we can showcase as coming from Nigeria. You see, what did the Asians do? The Asians did not reinvent the wheel. They only copied. They copied technology. And Nigerians are doing that, copying technology. We have locally assembled computers now. We have an iPad that is Nigerian branded. We have Nigerian software companies doing very well in Nigeria and even exporting to neighboring countries. In fact, we have also intelligence that some mega corporations in this country who have sourced software contracts to so-called exotic overseas companies. The companies came to Nigeria, companies that are into software, to write the software for them. Because you understand the environment, you know what the local market needs. So Nigerians write that software, develop that software, but it's branded as coming from France, from Germany.
So, but is it policy deficiency that
there is clear policy deficiency, and also it's actually a function of poverty of leadership.
Has the Ministry of Communications Technology does anything impressive in this area, Bayo?
Yeah, I think the current minister, competent minister, Mrs. Amobola Johnson, has taken a good step in this right direction by pushing for a policy that innovates ideas, that supports innovations. And we're beginning to see that in the activities that is in the runoff to the Buy Nigeria that the president himself endorsed. However, there's a challenge here. Most times in Nigeria, it's like we build personalities. We don't build institutions. And that is where my fear lies. If this is not sustained beyond this regime, because this regime will not last forever, the fear is, at the end of the tenure of this regime, where do we go from here?
Gentlemen, it was a pleasure having you.
It's my pleasure being here.
Thank you for coming.
Only thank you very much.
Thank you.